Hello, humans.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
God, I can't have any fun. I can't change the title. I can't make people come to the channel. I can't do nothing. I'm like restricted.
If he wants to go ask his sisters and stuff and say, "Hey, will you please come to my channel?"
Yeah.
I said no.
So yeah, hello people who
come on. Let's just go get into it. Let's skip. We don't need an intro.
So today, what did you think of my top West power ranking video?
What? I didn't watch. Did you put a video up?
No. What? I didn't put anything up
right now. What happened?
What? I didn't put anything. Do you not pay attention? Do you not pay attention at all?
You put a video up and I didn't even know.
I didn't put a video up. Do you not? Wait, aren't you not know? You have notifications turned on, don't you?
Not for my own channel, no.
Oh.
So.
But yeah, like last night we did our LEC MVPs, and tonight's gonna be the NA in the LCS MVPs. Tonight I have tomorrow off, so I was like, hey, instead of doing it on the other format, I'll just do it this way because you guys love seeing my lovely, beautiful face. Mm-hmm. And he has an ASMR, so we're gonna talk slowly into the mic.
I don't actually know if this thing works at all. I just bought a bunch of stuff. Like
he just God.
Look how cool this looks though. It's like really pretty and stuff. It's like those little raccoon tail hats you can get.
He said he's gonna buy me the new G10 Logitech Orion Spectrum keyboard.
Okay, so
that's like $115.
What did you want this video to be on?
Okay, so who is gonna be your front runners for MVPs for our lovely LCS?
Okay, so number one is pretty much gonna be number one on every single person in existence power ranking.
Do we have like a lot of people in the same role?
I don't know. I haven't paid.
I think I have like 4 people though.
I was just 5. Gonna do like 3 every single time.
Yeah, I'll probably.
I thought the thing was like we do 3 and then we just pick our.
Yeah, but like there's so many more people too. Though.
Who cares? I mean, we can mention them, but again, I think Okay, the top 3 again. I think that number one is pretty much number one in everybody's MVP power rankings is Core JJ. Core JJ is the single best player in the West in my opinion as it stands right now.
Oh,
I don't think it's really controversial. I mean, I do think that he has the single most impact on the game in comparison to the rest of the players on his team. I mean. Honestly, Team Liquid would not nearly be as good as they are. Even if they got a moderately capable support, they would not be close to undefeated. They would have lost 2 or 3 games.
Well, we saw them last year having that in Ole, and we've seen it not happen.
Yeah, but again, I mean, I think that his impact on the game has been so much more than Jensen's, and I genuinely thought that Jensen was going to be the most impactful person.
But he's impactful.
He is impactful, but it's just Core JJ's level of play at which, again, he's the big initiator of the team. He plays pretty much every style you can ask him to. He's probably the shot caller, in my opinion. He does the 90, like, pretty much all of the lane communication. He dominates the, what's going to be happening in laning, and Doublelift essentially just follows up. The style, again, he defines the style that Team Liquid plays to. They play towards that team-fighting late-game strategy, and he's the reason they do that. They pretty much win every single laning phase. It's just kind of
functions the exact same as Doublelift. Actually, they want to dominate the lane, the 2v2 kills, and since he's so good at dominating the lane, you've even seen him roam to other lanes too. So like last year, the problem with Ole and roaming doesn't exist with Core JJ. They can dominate lane, and basically Core JJ can have his cake and eat it too. And we're talking about Core JJ coming into the league as a player that people weren't really too hyped on about because of the fact that he did fail on Genji in the group stage, and then you look at the fact that he looked very outclassed to other Korean supports. But if you factor in how much he's learned since he left Dignitas, moving forward, he came back over here, and because the thing with him was that we've noticed a lot of the Korean players not work out when they come over.
I mean,
at least the first start.
I actually rated him. If we go back to our super support power rankings, I put him at number 1.
Yeah, I had him at number 3 because there was times where you put a Korean in the league and it just does not work.
I mean, that is the case, but again, I looked at the style, like the style that he was fitting into. Again, his style meshed perfectly with what Doublelift's was. Coming into the split, he was the one that pretty much brought in the misfortune, countered Desira, all these things. Like, I think that there was a lot of things about him that I thought was just incredible. Like, again, his aggressive tendencies in lane. He was the playmaker of Genji. He did a lot of stuff that I just thought really did mesh well with Doublelift. On top of the fact that it meshed well with what I thought the team was going to be, because they didn't have a secondary primary engager. I think that Impact more so he can play that, but I don't like him on it. I think he's a tank more so as a frontlining player.
Like I like that this year he's able to play the damage top laners because that moving forward to international competition, he's gonna have to play damage top laners because if he can't, that means not only are you a draft liability, you're also a detriment to the actual team being able to get past certain humps that they're gonna probably end up taking. But yeah, Core JJ as a support. Another since he had Core JJ, I was gonna choose someone else. I was gonna choose Zazel actually. He's actually been a little bit weaker than Core JJ. It's just that
Quite a bit weaker.
I think it's not even some. It's like Core JJ's 10, Zazel is at least like around the 8 mark right now.
I would put him at a 7. We're not if he's not nearly on the same level. As
He has an
Core
impact in the game a lot differently than Core JJ does because both of them are actually playing laning phase quite well. But I think that when Core JJ does it, he doesn't get punished for it the way that Zazel does because when Zazel and Sneaky do it, we see them get counter ganked a lot and give over the advantage that they've gotten. When Doublelift and Core JJ do it, it's a lot more controlled, a lot more. We get this. We're gonna back. Sneaky and Zazel constantly try doing it, but Zazel has been fairly impactful in the game too, and actually playing a bit better than his protege Smoothie.
I don't think he's playing. He's playing better now.
Yeah, I think that if you want to consider 2 supports for MVP, it's definitely him and
I
Zazel.
wouldn't care about supports right now. I think there's only one in the running for MVP.
But I wanted. He's also been playing
he's
substantially, really dictating the pace around the map
but
as well.
I wouldn't even put him in the top 10 in the league right now.
So
I think that if we're gonna pick somebody off Cloud9, most definitely he's probably the 4th best on his team right now.
Oh no, I was talking about like if you were gonna have any other person there.
I don't even know if I'd put him as the second best support, to be honest.
I would. There's not much.
There's not many good supports, but he's not incredibly good. I think
he's playing incredibly well.
I still think he's probably the weak link of Cloud9.
No,
him and Jungle are probably the weak links.
I think that the way Zazel is dictating the pace around the map when he's on Cloud9 is a lot impactful.
Sneaky's probably the most dominant person on this team right now.
Well, that sounds high.
Licorice is by far and away. Licorice and Sneaky are by far and away the best players on this team. Niski's the most impactful player on this team when he's on point.
What if I just had a bunch of Cloud9 members as
I'm just saying, like, possibly, but again, I don't think that. I mean, Zazel shouldn't be in the conversation because he's the fourth best player on his team.
No, I'm talking about some from players in the league. What I've seen.
Well, yeah, but I don't think he should be in the conversation. Is what I'm saying.
I think he should, but
he's not. He's like again.
I think you're just blinded.
I think that again, you need to be one of the most impactful players on your team to be in the conversation for MVP.
I think that you can be that, and you can also have times in which you're doing stuff around the map that is MVP level as well.
Well, yes,
because he's impacting the map in different ways as well.
Well, yes, but again, it's not to the same extent as what I would say is Core JJ is. And on top of the fact, again, I don't think he is as impactful as Niski.
Remember how you said last night?
Licorice.
It's because he also has a super team as well.
Well, that's not
the same
just
thing.
that.
The same thing would apply with Caps too.
You need to see what they're doing. You need to see. It's not just because he has a super team. You base it off of this. That's one of the things. Like these flaws. I think that Jukesei and Caps are doing very similar things, and the reason that Caps is succeeding more is because he has the super team. Well, I can't say that about Zazel because I don't think he's doing the same things as Core JJ. It's not just because of the teams. He's just not as impactful. Where so is Smoothie with the team that he had, not Smoothie, Sneaky with the team that he has is probably the single best ADC in the league right now, in my opinion. And
Piglet 4th.
I don't even know if I'd put him that high, to be honest.
How do you feel about knowing that you were wrong?
How do you feel about knowing all of us wrong? Because we all sucked in our ADC power rankings.
Why? Doublelift in my top.
Doublelift's not top right now. I still think it's Sneaky.
I had Sneaky at 4th.
Sneaky's number 1 right now.
You had Sneaky at 7th.
I did.
I
did actually.
I like being wrong.
I mean, Sneaky didn't play this level last year. I'm sorry.
He's shown that he can. It's like having every player has slumps.
No, he has not played like this in forever.
Every player has slumps at parts where they're not relevant.
So when I give people credit, you're like, you can't just hype on it just after one game. When you do it, it's relevant and it works out because sometimes you get it right.
Oh yeah, that's how it works. You know.
No,
I'm just a big old prediction guy.
But let's be honest. I think that if we're gonna put a number 2 in the league, it's gonna have to be
There's JJ's not. There's not.
No,
Ole.
we're not talking about supports.
Oh, but yeah.
We're talking about number 2 because roles don't matter.
It's not roles. It's just who I see is putting off the MVP quality.
And it's not Zazel.
I think it's him and Core JJ is there to doing it. I think Core JJ does it simply better, but I think he's not to be underestimated.
I mean, Zazel's fine this year, but you're giving him. He's not nearly in the MVP running. Is all I'm saying.
So who did you have for ADC? Because I had Sneaky.
I don't have ADCs.
I'm
doing 3 people. I don't understand why you keep.
See, I like confusing. He's like, no, you didn't say that. Okay. Mine was a tie actually for my other 2, because Broken Blade and Licorice. Both are playing at.
I still like. I'm gonna be honest. I would put Broken Blade because Broken Blade is essentially the team right now. As team TSM is forced into a situation where they have to play around him to win the game.
Doesn't make any sense. Most people would not have said that coming in.
Well, no one expected that. Again, they had a super bot lane as Sven got rid of the weak link in bot lane. They got again still had Bjergsen, and then Broken Blade was the question mark. We saw him in the TCL, but how does that transfer over? And it's been incredible. I mean, he hasn't really lost the laning phase. When they play around him, it's pretty much the most likely case that they win, except for maybe the last game that they played where Smoothie just got 70 hooks in a row, but that doesn't count.
Oh, he's like, no, this ain't Maddie.
That's one game.
That was pure luck.
That was luck, but you're not going to have Thrush getting 700 hooks in a game every game.
The reason why I had Broken Blade and Licorice tied is because I actually couldn't choose between either of them because both of them are playing at an absolute incredible MVP level. One thing Broken Blade does a bit better is the laning phase, but how he moves around the map is just not...
I disagree. I think that his movements around the map are completely fine, but it's relevant. It's relative to how good the shot calling is on the team, and he's not the shot caller.
I think Licorice moves around the map a bit better. I think both of them play the team fights well. Both of them are carry threats. Both of them can move their team in a certain direction. Both of them have gone they're like first in every single solo kill category.
I just
like
think
they're just playing it at an absolute incredible level.
I think if I'm gonna have to rate some, again, I still think Broken Blade's playing slightly better. I do think Licorice is playing really well.
The only time they've lost is when they're on Victor, and I'm not counting that. So
yeah, no one counts Victor games.
So those are the only times they've lost is when they were put on Victor, and no one's winning on that guy. Both of them are playing great. Both of them are split push threats.
But we do have to pick somebody.
That's the thing. I can't. They're both playing the exact same.
We need to pick somebody.
Now, I don't want to put biased in there because then I'm going to choose Licorice, but Broken Blade, I said it's tie for me.
You're putting it because it's biased, but again, I think...
It's not! You even agreed yesterday.
I thought he was good. I did. I said that if we're talking about who makes the most impact on their team, and you would have to give that to Broken Blade.
I think it will be Broken Blade because he's doing it more like solo.
He's doing it
but
solo.
Licorice is also doing it on his own. So how would you factor that in?
He's not just doing it on his own, on top of the fact that Broken Blade is dictating, again, another person that's dictating the pace of the game for his team.
Like, it's all about him when he's playing.
Licorice, yeah, that's how Broken Blade is pretty much done. I think that he's pretty much another person that I would say is like Yankos, like CoreJJ. He's pretty much forced TSM to play in a situation where they have to facilitate his playstyle because he's just too much of a threat. I think that has really just been something that no team has been able to... Like, there's no laner in the league right now that is as dominant as he is. He's the most dominant solo laner in the league right now.
I think him and Licorice have the best stats so far.
Yeah, it's stats, but we just look at the play style itself. It really, Licorice has had a massive amount of games where he just goes off. I have to give him credit for that. I do.
Like, you
I don't think that the difference between them is big.
Like, you look at how they impact the game. You can look at team fighting, flanks. You look at how they win their lane. It's always very dominant. You also look at they're the dictating paces of the game. But if you want to look at just MVP, Broken Blade would slightly get it more because he's more or less like doing it on his own. It's not without a team.
It's more so
Licorice is just doing it. You know that because that's like Someday last year. Someday just doing it on his own.
What I'm saying is MVP. It's not about what. It's more so about what they're doing. Is how valuable it is to their team's success.
And that would be Broken Blade right now.
Because obviously Licorice is doing really well, but again, the success isn't only coming for Licorice. I think there's a lot of Sneaky's playing out of his mind. A lot of the games that came off of Niski's performances, like their Aatrox. Like his Aatrox performances.
The NA Silas.
Like Zazel's playing really well.
But we saw this last year. Well, we saw this last year where Licorice was doing it on his own, and he was in like third for MVP voting behind Someday too.
I mean, I think the difference between the top two was insanely different. I don't think Licorice was up there, but that was only because there was no one really else in comparison.
But what's the issue with this year? This year there's better competition.
I don't think there honestly he's again if we're gonna put him up there. He's not. I mean, the number one is by far and away way out of the. No one's catching up to CoreJJ right now. No one is nearly as dominant as impactful as he is. So I do think that he's a great player. I think that Licorice and CoreJJ are both definitively really good players.
Best of the roles probably at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody. This top two right now is pretty much defined by Licorice and Broken Blade.
And
no
then
one else competes.
Technically no, there's not. There's no one else I can think of. Who else did you have did you have anybody in the jungle category?
I'm not doing roles.
I'm just saying, so we don't glance over it, you know?
No.
Okay.
I mean, if we're going to have anybody, the only person we can think of is Santorin.
See, I wanted to put him here.
There's the only person that we can think of.
But I don't think
him and Poe Belter are the two reasons as to why I would say that, FlyQuest are succeeding. I think that both of these players both deserve to be in the conversation at the very least.
But I don't think they're having that performance where it's like Core JJ or Licorice level, where it's like when they do it, they're
You
winning.
really want to put Licorice in that category, don't you?
They're winning the games based off of it. When
If you want my
Santorin and
honest
Cobalt do it,
opinion-
they're just doing like things on the map that are good. But if it doesn't really amount to winning and dictating the pace of the game and you being a threat on the map, then it's not.
If you want my honest opinion, I'd put both Pobelter and Santorin above Licorice because I think that again they are the two only players who I say are competent on their team. I think that Pobelter's constant ability to win the lanes is kind of impressive. Santorin's the single best jungler in the league right now. I don't think it's really in competition. Even Xmithy is not in his category right now.
I mean, we already knew that going in.
I didn't. I didn't know Santorin was gonna be the best jungler in the league. No one
No,
expected that.
I was like, for that, throw my like random predictions in there that I think in my brain and stuff like that.
Like, let's think about it. Like Santorin is the single most impactful player in the game right now. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I think that not in the game, but on this team right now, him and Pobelter are just tearing it up. Like Pobelter is consistently winning lanes. We see him translate it into the rest of the team. Like, if Pobelter falls behind, like the team just doesn't win. I do give credit. I do think that Viper has made it really like them able to succeed. I think he's a pretty above average top laner, but nothing more than that. I still don't think he's incredibly good yet. I think that he's going to grow into that, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
People are I'm not saying people are overrating him at the moment, but he hasn't shown that.
I mean,
that performance.
He's definitely in the top 5 for top laners.
Yeah,
but
that's good for being a new person to the league.
Yeah, you got to give him credit for that. Like
he's
Viper
definitely playing
good.
He's definitely playing good, but I think that he's not as proficient on what he's known for, which is being a carry threat.
Well, again, I mean, if you put him on Riven, I think he's been incredible every single time he's got that. But
is it incredible, or have teams not punished Riven's weak like laning phase?
Riven is insane in the laning phase.
Well, I've beaten Riven every single time in my solo.
Nasus in top, so if he beats him, that Riven's terrible.
I think when you look at the 3 players that I chose, which was if it wasn't Core JJ, since you already chose him, then I was gonna choose Zeyzal, Licorice, and Broken Blade.
You're putting Zeyzal in the top 3?
No, I mean like for MVPs that I was thinking of.
Yeah, but top 3 MVPs, you put Zeyzal in there?
No, like what was you
don't need
you already
roles.
chose him.
Well, then pick Sneaky.
That's gross because he likes being picked.
I'm just saying, like.
But overall, I was gonna choose Broken Blade, Licorice, and Core JJ as my top 3 that were in the league that are showing off an MVP performance. Because when you look at those 3 players, not only are they impacting the game, they're impacting the game in a certain way in which it gets the team's wins. They're roaming around the map. They're getting a lot of things done. You look at how they play team fights. The way they play team fights is that they're not only getting their teams the wins, they're also picking off carries. They're also getting deep vision, pairing up with their junglers very well. It's just total quality MVP performance. Now, the reason it's different with Broken Blade is because he's doing it all on his own.
It's not. Again, I think it's more so
he doesn't
because
really have a team if we're counting them.
I think it's more so the fact that his impact on the game is more important than Licorice's is. Like, yeah, I think Licorice, what he does impressively, like, but if Licorice fell apart, I think the rest of this team could pick up the slack. I think that is the reason I would say that. I think that he's playing really well. He's playing extremely well. But I think that if we talk about how important his success is to the team, I'd say that Broken Blades definitely is more more necessary. I think they would have probably won 1 game if he hadn't went off. Bjergsen's had a few standout games for the most part, but not really.
Acadian's a nice, fine addition to have for them.
I mean, I don't think Grig's getting a spot back as it stands right now. Acadian's just been too impactful.
Yeah, like they don't. So, but it's weird though. They needed a supportive tank jungler, and now they just need a carry jungler.
He's not even really a carry. He's just an early game ganker, and that's all they needed. Honestly. It's just been the only thing that TSM has been able to competently use has been this supportive style, which I don't think was good for them. But it's.
I don't think it's good.
Who?
The supportive style. That's
supportive
never.
Style. Again, the reactionary style is always the wrong way to play League. There's no such thing as a reactionary player because that's just like
that's like the teams.
It's people who know how to punish and people who don't know how to punish exploit weaknesses. That's the same thing people say. Like you have this Kassadin or you have a Kassadin on your team. You have an enemy mid laner. The enemy mid laner's roaming around. Let's just say it's a LeBlanc, right? And they're just like ganking everywhere, killing everybody. Your Kassadin's like, hey, yeah, man, we can win. We'll just scale. Like people it's so vague. Like a supportive reactionary is so vague. No, no. What I'm saying is people who don't make the first move are usually because they don't really either are not confident in doing it or don't know how to find these points at which they can exploit the mistakes.
But I think that has
If
to do
you're-
with like champions too. If you're playing reactionary champions, you're gonna have a reactionary playstyle.
It's not reactionary. It's passive playstyle when you have to play scaling characters. But that's not. You're not going to play scaling every single time. Like I think that there's just different playstyles. I don't know. Like a lot of things, like Monte Cristo has pointed out, it's not really. It's more so the carnivorous versus herbivore. There's the herbivore are the people who pretty much just farm up by killing they're killing their camps and stuff, and it can win you games honestly. But the people who essentially they get their gold from trying to make these plays happen, they will are this passive laning phase or passive scaling farming jungler is never gonna beat this aggressive scaling. Aggressive early game ganker if he successfully does his job. It's never gonna happen. You just have to hope it doesn't happen.
But I think that if you move towards just how the champions have worked, that becomes a bit different because if you're playing reactionary champions such as like how would you say Galio and stuff like
Galio again is an aggressive. You can play him aggressive.
But if like a comp is like reactionary, kind of like the comp that Cloud9 had when they beat Clutch the first time around. When they use the Shen Nocturne, that's an aggressive comp. You have to do something aggressive with a comp or you just fall apart. Clutches was reactionary. Lissandra ult, Sivir, Spell Shield,
It's not reactionary, more so it's kite back or it's either hard engage or the ability to kite back when they get on you. I wouldn't say
either like Shen Nocturne dive you or Lissandra stops you with the root and then you try again. It's stuff like that. But I think that's how the game's progressed. But overall, who would you think is the single most impactful on like the team itself, like with Core JJ and Broken Blade and
first Core JJ for sure is number one. Second place would be Broken Blade for me, and then third would have to be Pobelter. I think those are the top three in my opinion. I think they're the single most important pieces to their team's success. I think that all of them have really played out of their mind this year. I'd like to see a team with all three of them at this point.
My thing with Pobelter is a reason why I chose Core JJ, Broken Blade, and Licorice was because I think Pobelter is playing absolutely great. I think this is one of the best seasons he's had.
It is honestly.
The Winter Fox days.
He wasn't incredibly good on Winter Fox. I think it's just because his team was so bad he looked better.
Yeah, he's just playing absolutely incredible. Like the game they had against FlyQuest. The game C9 had against FlyQuest, he was playing out of his mind. He was playing great. I just think that he doesn't bring at the end of the day, an MVP to me brings you home victories by how you're playing with your specific style. He doesn't bring that, and I think that that's a big detriment in terms of how, even though what he's doing is great, it's not really working out the way that Licorice, the way that Broken Blade is playing, the way Core J is playing, bring their teams the wins, and not only they do it in their own way, they do it in a way that is so impactful that they're the single most person you have to actually focus on, or you're going to lose. Because we've seen that happen with Broken Blade. They gave him Jax. And he destroyed them. They gave Licorice the picks that he wants. Who did Licorice chose? Like, freaking... It wasn't Singe this year. He chose something different. He won the game based off that. You look at Core JJ. They gave him he played Rakan after he got nerfed, and they won in like 20 minutes after Rakan was considered garbage.
Rakan is still ridiculous. I think that he's really able to do his job.
But the fact that they chose champions for them that they knew were nerfed and they still pulled it off. So those are my three. We had honorable mentions.
Again, I think you were trying to downplay Pobelter's impact on the game right there.
Not necessarily.
I think that
because winning at the end of the day is what matters more.
Again, you have to put that on top of the fact that I think that the impact of your team itself around the map is one thing. I think that Pobelter's ability to play pretty much either the aggressive Lissandra or pretty much anything, he's been able to play that style. He's setting up as an engager on his team. I don't think anybody's doing the amount of engaging
You notice a radical difference.
Oh my god!
Why do you even have your volume on?
I was off.
It wasn't. Okay, so I think that the level at which that he plays at right now, in my opinion, is just incredible. Like, this is the best he's ever played, in my opinion. But at the same time, he's the single. Like, I don't think there's another engaging player on his team. He plays all of the engage. Mm-hmm. Everybody else pretty much just reactively follows up what he does.
That's why he played some Yasuo.
Yeah, and that's why they lost. But
no, JJ's played the Orin bottom.
So I think that...
Okay, he's not going to give credit to that.
Honestly, I really do appreciate what Licorice does, but This FlyQuest team would probably have won one game if it not for Pobal to be on the team. Like, I think that pretty much, again, Santorin's impact in the early game is a lot of their success, the reason they've succeeded. But, like, Pobalter is what's happened. He's the definitive. The reason this is happening around the map is because I'm making the moves.
Mm-hmm.
He's making these things happen around the map, and it's really just it's been the driving force behind what I think FlyQuest has succeeded with. And I do like what Licorice is doing, but I don't think it's to that same extent. Like he's been winning. Licorice has been smashing his lanes. He's doing all this stuff, but
when they faced each other, it was pretty even. It was Broken Blade and Licorice. It was pretty even.
Yeah, that's a fun matchup, man.
Yeah, they're doing great. But yeah, those are my 3 MVPs. Core JJ.
Wait, no. Core JJ played no stupid. Licorice played Silas, right?
Does that even count? Silas was a terrible early game.
Licorice got destroyed in their lane.
No, Licorice went to like.
Licorice died a bunch.
He was playing Jace. Jace to Silas is terrible.
Well, it doesn't matter.
You're gonna lose. Whippo and Wonder played that, and Whippo.
You said it was even, and that's not true.
Okay, like Wonder and Whippo played that, and Wonder had like 50 CS plus because that's what Jace does. You can't really count that if that's what the champion is supposed to do.
You can because he lost. You said 50 CS is ridiculous, regardless of the situation.
It's a range champion.
50 CS is insane.
Okay, I've gone on 50 CS and I've still won games before.
Well, I'm just saying 50 CS is a lead.
So you're saying Whippo sucks?
Even. I'm saying that. Well, I do say that, yes, but I'm saying that was not an equal laning phase that you just talked about.
But we saw that even when they both got behind in the games that they did lose, they were still impactful in the same way.
I agree with
like, even if Licorice loses, he still impacts the game the same way he does even if he's winning. And I think that's an MVP thing too. That's a very valuable thing to have because a lot of players just fall over and just die.
I mean, I'm not saying that what he does isn't good, but I'm also saying that I don't think
he's not a Broken Blade.
I don't think he's Broken Blade.
All right, he's got poop on his shirt.
Why did you touch it? You know I have poop on my shirt. Why would you touch it?
Rub it on my face. Maybe it'll come into my. Yeah, okay. he got a stand, guys.
I did. If you hear anything different today, it's because I got this fuzzy thing right here. Whatever this is, stop touching it. This thing. This thing, it took me about 2 hours to put together.
You nailed it into your desk.
No, I little screwed it on, but every time I screwed it on, it would just fall down.
I might need you to screw on my doorknob.
Okay, so that's pretty much the end of the video.
Yeah, the top 3 for me, of course, Core JJ, Broken Blade, and Licorice. His was...
Pobelter, Broken Blade, and Core JJ.
All right. You guys enjoyed the video? What's our next video is going to be talking about the LCK, actually. I don't
think we need to tell them what our next video is. We could just end it.
What? That's not fun.
Yeah, it's fun for me. See you later.